So for more reaction and insight, it's a pleasure to welcome Professor Eugene Kontorovich, Senior Legal Fellow at the Advancing American Forum, Freedom Forum, and Senior Scholar at the Kohelet Policy Forum, joining us now from Jerusalem. Professor, thank you so much for your time. So the EU has this list of issues. It wants Israel to withdraw the tender, stop the E1 plans and all other settlement expansion projects, and ensure accountability for settler violence. Your reaction, your thoughts?
The EU is trying to micromanage zoning issues in Israel. The area and it's extraordinary. It's extraordinary that the EU should try to interfere in such a detailed way in building right next to Jerusalem. The EU doesn't make statements like that about new Turkish construction in northern Cyprus. And northern Cyprus is part of the EU occupied by Turkey. Every time the Turks build a new neighborhood in Famagusta or other places, they don't issue a statement or threaten to sanction Turkey. So what this is about is what they're essentially saying is the area right next to Jerusalem must remain a Juden-free zone. Jews can't live there. And the argument about severing connectivity, other than being a bit premature, because the biggest problem with the Palestinian state is not 1,000 apartments for Jews, but rather October 7th. This area is right next to Jerusalem. It's in between, directly abutting Jerusalem, between Jerusalem and the big city of Male Adumim. When the Palestinians, 15 years ago, I think it was, even brought up that Israel might give up Male Adumim, Tzipi Livni, who was the foreign minister at the time, laughed and said, "You guys are crazy. You're trying to torpedo any deal." So no one has ever thought that Israel would give up this area. And the contiguity of any Palestinian state, if one were to want to create one, would be amply preserved by the areas east of these places. But the very idea of a Palestinian state is premised on severing the contiguity of the state of Israel. That is to say, the Palestinian state, as the Europeans envision it, would connect Gaza on one side of Israel with Judea and Samaria, cutting Israel across at its narrow middle, which is, by the way, exactly what Sinwar tried to do on October 7th, understanding that if he could cross from Gaza to Judea and Samaria, Israel would essentially be sliced into and indefensible. That's the European minimal proposal. So it's very hard to understand why Israel should agree to that.
It certainly is difficult as you are laying it out right now, but it begs the question, what kind of role do you think the Trump administration might play here? Is settlement expansion likely to go ahead with or without an American green light?
The Trump administration has clearly demonstrated that it correctly sees issues about building apartments as an internal Israeli domestic issue. The United States does not take a position or issue press releases saying you can't build houses for Jews or any other people anywhere in the world. Why would it do so here? The United States is not going to interfere, and I think they don't see this as a problematic issue. That's what their silence clearly demonstrates. The Europeans, on the other hand, they want to impose sanctions on Israel, and they're playing around for what the pretext would be.
Certainly will be fascinating to see how it all unfolds. We know the Israeli Security Cabinet is meeting this evening on the issue of the West Bank and Syria. Wait to see how it all unfolds. Professor Eugene Kontorovich, live from Jerusalem. Always appreciate your insights. Thank you so much.